Don't disclose where you are. I'm sure you've seen the feedback of folks who have asked you, well, why did he do this in the past? He's been critical of the U.S. intervening in Syria. Is it, again, a direct reaction, do you think, to the chemical attack that took place there recently?
Maybe, potentially. You can't get inside his head. However, he is no longer private citizen Trump. He is no longer candidate Trump. He is President Trump. And he received what's known as the presidential daily briefing every single day. He receives intelligence that is going to scare the living hell out of most Americans. So his position has changed. His status has changed. He now is responsible for, realistically, the entire world.
And what do you have to say now as we stand here on Friday? Of course, there was just so much speculation. Is this going to open up Pandora's box? Is there going to be additional action? Talk specifically about the Russian reaction. Apparently, none too pleased that this occurred. Is this really going to hurt relations between the U.S. and Russia moving forward?
Relations between the U.S. and Russia aren't very good to begin with. So Trump can make as many overtures as he wants to Russia or Vladimir Putin. Russia is certainly not our friend. Russia's, whether we're getting closer with Russia or not, I think that's not possible at this point in time. Our values are very different. Vladimir Putin is bordering on a war criminal. He is a murderer. He is supporting pretty much a massacre in Syria, and it's our relations with Russia I'm not really concerned about, and I don't think President Trump should be too concerned about them either. I think President Trump is realizing that Russia might not be as good an ally, or could be as good an ally as he thinks.
So was the action taken yesterday more of just a message to Assad that this will not be tolerated? Again, I mean, has it been proven that Assad was behind the attack?
Assad continues to deny it. Russia continues to deny it. The UN has investigated several different attacks perpetrated by Assad, and has found that in the last couple of years, Assad is responsible for numerous chemical attacks. This is after the notorious red line comment. So is Assad responsible for this specific attack? Absolutely. And even Donald Trump, who I disagree with on probably about 99% of the issues, agrees with me here, and I agree with him.
Go ahead.
Responsible.
And I'd seen that you were active on Facebook making some comments, watching the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, on the floor taking a serious stance. Tell us about your reactions seeing Nikki Haley in regards to this latest action.
I'm very happy they're condemning Russia and Syria and this chemical warfare that's taking place within the country. This is a serious breach of international law and a break from international norms. It makes us all much less safe. We have international law in place for a reason, to regulate the way conflict is waged. If we don't enforce these laws, I mean, Syria could turn around and use chemical weapons on our U.S. soldiers currently in Syria. So the Syrian government could use weapons against us, or chemical weapons against us.
What do you think happens now? I mean, it seems like a very open-ended question. There was an incident. There was a direct response to the incident. Here we are now afterwards, sort of digesting what happened. What happens now in Syria, in your viewpoint?
In Syria, I'm hoping President al-Assad doesn't use chemical weapons against his own people going forward, because he realizes there will be serious repercussions. I don't know. Again, you can't predict the future. Russia, the relations between Russia and the United States are pretty seriously hurt because of our strikes in Syria. I think we're going to continue to target the Islamic State terror group in Raqqa, Syria, for example, and it will still be limited so long as President Bashir al-Assad does not use chemical weapons again against his people. However, many of my friends here in the military, we had some concerns that there would be what's known as mission creep. We would shift from short-term to long-term priorities because of the ambiguity on the ground, such as in Iraq. So this could very easily change from a short-term commitment, specifically targeting the Islamic State, into a much longer-term commitment targeting both the Islamic State as well as the Syrian government. And hopefully that doesn't happen.
And if that does, because again, we all over here got the reports about the bombing happening. Could that happen in such a way that the average American might not know this, or if there's a proliferation of involvement in Syria? Or do you think there'll be transparency? Do you think we'll have an awareness if there is, an increase of military activity there?
There's actually been an erosion of transparency under the Trump administration because Trump has stopped disclosing how many troops are going to Syria. There's a cap of currently 503 soldiers who are U.S. soldiers permanently in Syria. However, we have troops rotating in and out of Syria every couple months. And this has not been announced by Trump. There's actually been an erosion of disclosure, and I don't think there will be more disclosure as far as the troop involvement and military action in Syria.
Let's talk another hotbed in political international relations right now, North Korea. Actually, the other week I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Terrence Rohrig at the Naval War College. He's an expert on the Korean Peninsula about the overtures coming from North Korea and obviously statements being made by the president. What's your take on what's taking place there?
North Korea, I'm actually probably one of the few service members who I've actually visited North Korea, and I've actually been to Pyongyang. Actually, probably one of the only service members. But yeah, back in 2013. The situation in North Korea? You have a despot, which is Kim Jong-un, however you want to pronounce his name. He is trying to consolidate control. He's paranoid. He's going around killing people as he did with his brother in Malaysia. It's a tough situation. I think that if it was a war, we would win hands down. However, this particular regime is sinister, and I think they're pragmatic, though. I think they're just doing this to stay in power and try to pretty much blackmail the rest of the world. However, this man is a mental case. Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il, whatever, Kim Jong-un is a mental case. And he violates international law just as much as Syria does, if not more. And the UN has come out and said that he pretty much is running the contemporary Holocaust. So we actually do have the contemporary Hitler alive today, embodied in the ruler of North Korea. So I think that North Korea seriously needs to be addressed. I'm not sure if there is a way to prevent them from developing nuclear weapons, further developing nuclear weapons, but something needs to be done. And I was hoping Trump would get China to rail them in. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and they're a contained society because the lack of internet. They do not have internet. They rarely talk to people in the outside world. So that's a tough situation. Iran, for example, has the internet. Syria has the internet. I mean, they can organize. North Korea, the internet's carefully surveilled, and unfortunately, if North Korea, the rule of North Korea falls, you're looking at a potential refugee crisis, which would cost the entire world community trillions of dollars.
And the role, obviously, of South Korea, political changes taking place there, right as we're speaking. But what's their role if, again, under new leadership, it takes a different direction? Concerns about where South Korea might be going.
Well, South Korea, so long as we're there on the border, they're not going anywhere. North Korea views the leader of North Korea views the Korean Peninsula as one peninsula ruled by Kim Jong-un. So long as we're there to maintain stability, to influence and deter North Korean aggression, they're going to be in good shape. However, they might be incentivized to develop nuclear weapons just like Japan, might be incentivized to develop nuclear weapons if North Korea further develops their nuclear capability, and that's a serious concern.
How about the international community, UN response, U.S. response, to address nuclear proliferation in these other countries? What's the thought about that?
It's difficult. It's a combination of maybe some intervention. I'm not saying intervention in North Korea, but you have to pick and choose which countries you want to intervene. North Korea is clearly different than other countries in the world, but there's no cookie cutter solution to each country's problems, the problems they present to the international community. So every country is different. I would like to see probably stiffer sanctions, of course. I hope it doesn't have to come to conventional arms or conventional war. I don't think it will, but this regime is completely unstable, or actually acts unstable to, as I mentioned before, blackmail the rest of the international world. But we have to work with China, we have to work with South Korea, we have to work with Japan to continually put pressure on North Korea to conform with international norms. If they don't want to do that, unfortunately, the United States should probably further take action, economic action, and also increase force size in South Korea if need be.
And sort of to encapsulate what again we've seen here over the past 24 hours. Do you think we'll see sort of a quiet period? Of course, there was just a lot of attention being paid to this military action taken by the United States. And let me just ask you specifically. A lot of folks raised, especially in social media, why did could the president take this action without going to Congress? What's your military thought on that?
I'm sorry, President Trump's action against Syria, correct?
Yes, correct.
Well, okay. He should he have went to Congress? President Obama went to Congress in 2013. He was flatly turned down by Congress. Should he went to Congress? It would have been nice. Does he necessarily have to? Absolutely not. There's been precedent in the past, such as when Bill Clinton attacked terrorist camps in both Sudan and Afghanistan. There's been Bill Clinton didn't go to Congress then. When Bill Clinton went to Haiti, intervened in 1994, he didn't go to Congress then. In 1986, when Reagan bombed Libya, he didn't go to Congress then. And when Reagan went into Grenada, he didn't go to Congress then. I mean, there are a number of precedents in contemporary precedents that say that Donald Trump does not necessarily have to go to Congress for limited military action. But when it switches from limited military action to long-term military action, that's when it switches from that's a more ambiguity as far as the legal justification. Then what's known as the War Powers Act actually kicks in, and then he has specific reporting requirements. But did Donald Trump have to go to Congress for this action? The answer to that is absolutely not. This is a limited action.
And it's interesting. You've got the military perspective, you've got the historical perspective, and we have mentioned here you are looking to as a contributor for Go Local, who opines on a number of issues for us. From your vantage point, you are looking to go to graduate school. What area of studies were you looking to put your level of expertise at?
I'm looking at public policy and also a master's in public administration. I'm looking at potentially getting my PhD from Oxford University after I graduate from Harvard.
So you want to delve into academia, and then once you're out of academia, what's your big goal?
My big goal, that's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to talk it over with David Cicilline and Congressman Cicilline, and I'll have to determine my goals going forward. But I have to do some serious introspection and see how best I can help my community.
And speaking of your community, I'm going to want to follow up and just, because you're a Pawtucket guy, I'm sure you've been following what's going on here. The Pawtucket Red Sox looking to build a new stadium at another location, looking to the state to potentially build it. We're still waiting for your plans. What are your thoughts?
I think that as a proud resident of Pawtucket who is who would be impacted both adversely and beneficially if the Pawtucket Red Sox stay or go. I think that stadiums in general the economic value of stadiums in general is largely overrated. I do. I don't want to buy a stadium for a group of rich people. I think property taxes in Pawtucket, Rhode Island are already too high. I think in Rhode Island in general, I am a little ambivalent about buying a fancy new stadium for a group of millionaires. I don't think we should be subsidizing rich people. This is just me as middle class Matt Fecteau, but the fact is, I have not seen any. I've seen a couple, but not overwhelming majority of evidence points to stadiums being economic good economically for the city of Pawtucket.
And as, again, a former congressional candidate, I know you're following statewide politics still closely here. Thoughts on marijuana legalization? I know they're going to be taking it up next week. Are you going to take that?
I'm going to read my articles. I obviously support it. I think that Patrick Kennedy, who I did work for, I do have a great deal of respect for. I very much disagree with him on this subject. We have to legalize marijuana. We have to regulate it. I want to make this very clear, though. I'm very much against decriminalizing it. I want to regulate it. I want to keep it out of the reach of developing minds. But as Congressman Kennedy also wants to do, we can make some money off this as well. But money isn't the biggest factor. It's the right thing to do. I'm sick of people going to prison because of marijuana or being penalized because of marijuana use. And in addition, I want to also pull the rug out from under the cartels. And I think legalization of marijuana is the best way to get this done.
Well, obviously, you've got your military perspective there, and the last point with talking with the cartels. And as we had discussed earlier, we're not going to let folks know where you are right now, but it is late at night where you are right now, isn't it?
It's pretty late at night. It's okay, though. I am a night owl. I'm reading my book here, The Prince of Providence. So it's okay. I've got to go back to reading it shortly.
Oh, I didn't know if you were going to kind of go out and take part in the social life. Have you read The Prince of Providence before?
I have a long time ago. I'm rereading it, though, and learning a little bit more about Buddy Cianci and his life. And Buddy Cianci, he was a friend of mine when he ran years ago, and I've helped him with his campaign. And he lives an interesting life.
Be sure to revisit the sections about Go Local CEO Josh Fenton. I believe he is actually in the index of that book for when he was on the city council and his interactions with the former mayor. It's a great book. It's a great read. You might be far from home, but you can never get too far from Rhode Island, can you?
Absolutely.
Well, Matt Fecteau, I appreciate your taking the time to Skype in today, again, from that military perspective with what's going on right now. Again, having taken the military action over there yesterday, where things currently stand, what to look at, and hopefully we can pick your brain. And we always, folks, just want to let you know, if you haven't read Matt Fecteau's columns, check them out on Go Local. Always are well written with a lot to say from his vantage point. So, Matt, thank you for Skyping in, and hopefully we can talk soon.